Good morning. What
Hey,
is
good morning.
the uh This is my first one. My first interview like this. So I guess please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Brian. Um, I own and operate Oddball Records here in Greenville, South Carolina. Been doing this coming up on about a year. Um, yeah, originally from this area. 30 years old, ex kitchen manager, wannabe chef, but not really. Creative soul, music lover, music nerd.
Wannabe chef, dude, that's cool. I'm a wannabe chef as well. That's another thing we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, you just ground yourself to like grilled cheese and you toss together some things in a pasta pot and go with it. But
Dude,
yeah,
it's it's wild that you bring up grilled cheese. I want to have a grilled cheese food truck. That's on the list.
oh yeah, that's ingenious. I want to be a part of that.
Yeah, dude, let's do it. We'll have like a lemonade stand, dude. We'll be like serving up grilled cheeses.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
But yeah, the music, the love for music has always been there, and I mean, I like to think everyone appreciates music, appreciates something they can like find themselves within and resonate with, whether it be an artist, an album, a certain vibe or time and place. With me, it became like in my life from a young age, and even before the days of like, streaming and Spotify, I was crate digging and, doing CDs, tapes, all that. So,
yeah, that's a point, right? Because I was very interested in the fact that you sell through all of those. You have, small offerings of cassettes I've seen on your tables. You have CDs, so you're not just limited to vinyl. And I think for dudes my age, it's interesting because our nostalgia is not 100% tied to vinyl records. Like CDs were a big part. And in my own mind, I'd love to hear about why you offer what you offer because, one thing that I appreciate about Greenville here so far is that there is a big music undercurrent. But your stuff stands out. You have a very thought out and curated offering. You're not just bringing as many boxes of records as you can, from what I can see. Can you tell us all a little bit about your selections and why?
yeah, of course. I mean, I think carefully curating a selection um, is very important, and sort of the idea that you can be open minded within the musical framework, within art, self expression. For me, there's different albums, different artists, and songs that represent different aspects and times of my life. And, with the variation of age groups and different walks of life that come to these markets that you and I frequent and vend at, I from a business perspective and from the perspective of just a music lover that loves sharing music, I want to have something for everyone. Um, the business mindset, I know what can bring in money quickest, but I also know that it's worth it to have some, oddball things, some things that kind of take away from the more typical, I guess, artist you associate, and just something that you can dig into, um, something that can provide some extra substance to you. Maybe some artists that just never got the radio play or were around in a time when they just couldn't really string together enough hits for a radio, a record deal, but some excavator of music knowledge and history has compiled some sort of compilation that now in 2025, a bunch of 30-year-olds can sink their teeth into and appreciate. Like
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all for the hunt, it's for the love of music. If you're not like doing it for that, I don't know what, it just
Right.
doesn't make sense.
Or you touched on a few things there that I want to kind of like hear a little bit
Yeah.
more about. Um, One is when you reference and I like how you reference the business aspect and the creative aspect separately. I think personally that's an important division, because in my mind, you have two responsibilities to your audience. And I
Yeah.
think that plays into what my wife and I both find so appealing about your perspective and your offerings. But you also mentioned knowing what brings in the money, and you spin it, and that's where you bring Oddball into the conversation, right? And I like that very much. Um, so one, not a question, but a comment, I would say your pricing is very fair. And for everybody out there watching it, when you see an aficionado, when you see somebody who is carefully curating a selection, it's not often to come up against consumer access and entry level pricing. And, thank you for providing that to your customers. Uh,
Um, Absolutely. I really appreciate that, Mike. That's really kind, coming from you. And once again,
yeah,
I appreciate those sentiments. I try to be modest when I can. I mean, I think accessibility and just like the look on people's faces when they find something they really want. Like if the record they like really really love is like $18 and all they have is 15, like who am I to like? I mean, what's three?
yeah, yeah,
It and it and I've done it in a way, and that's why like I go about unconventional means to sometimes procure certain
yeah,
um more I guess eclectic titles and different things. uh it's all part of the strategy to like, you have to make money. That's kind of the point of this, but I don't have to make so much money that like I isolate the consumer. Like I don't
yeah.
um
That's a
you know
really interesting note.
yeah, there can be an integration between like the love of something and the more the money side of, it doesn't have to be the strict breaking off point between those two modalities.
I couldn't agree more. And, that's, I think for me, coming from a very regimented, uh, uh, very empowered business background, right? The thing that I first and foremost found, oh, cheers, by the way.
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah.
The thing that I found most appealing and refreshing about the vendor community and marketing in general was that the consumer aspect is a conversation, like you pointed out. Um, there's a moment being the vendor where you connect with that consumer. Sometimes it's across a great distance, right? You see somebody, you're like, they're coming straight to my table, I can tell.
Yeah.
And there's a moment, there's a real moment when they're digging through your crates, and all of a sudden there's like, I don't know, a German singing record for kids with speech impediments, and it just sets somebody's awareness and creativity like on fire, right? And then the price becomes fluid because you understand the value, and then they kind of give you an indicator, or they'll actually tell you, which is rare for a consumer to be like, I don't have enough money. But for somebody to kind of like step out of comfort, right, and engage in that with you, then you're the businessman that understands the value of that connection, right?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I think it's about if you set your boundaries and you have like a formal strategic understanding of like things like your profit margins and what you have in something,
Hmm.
then you can establish your own wiggle room. You don't have to
Exactly.
On the one end, you don't have to be this, strict, super pricey, non-negotiable guy. But on the other hand, you don't let people walk all over you and take advantage.
Yeah.
So it's like finding that middle ground, and that's a work in progress, man. I mean, you know, that's something
Yeah.
you develop that middle ground, but being true to yourself and that having the boundaries, I think, is really important to, for this.
It is. And again, you have some very, very valuable insights. I think for vendors in the community with less experience, uh, you didn't hint, you referenced your profit margin, your knowledge of your profit margins, right? It's extremely important for everybody in this community to have a firm grasp on what that means, because a firm grasp on your profit margins empowers you to partake in that fluid price conversation and making those connections because you are aware of your wiggle room. Um,
Yeah, of
and
course, yeah, you have the keys to the car. So yeah.
yeah, and you started it off by saying setting boundaries, which is also important because you will also find people that take advantage of that kindness from time to time.
You will, man, and for sure. I mean, I try to see the good in people, and I tend to err on the side of understanding the fallibility of humans, and that we're none of us are perfect and whatnot, and but you never know who's gonna pop up. But I mean, I've not really had any real bad interactions. Sometimes people just are at a fixed point, and sometimes a deal can be made, sometimes it can't. It's never personal for me. It's always
Right.
I've it's never it's a business interaction, and it's also a matter of just respect for them where they are individually with their stylistic preferences, with their their ability to buy music. I mean, this is not a music. I mean, to people like us, it might seem like a necessity, and in a way, this creative. But having a physical media is not the same as like having a sandwich if you're hungry.
True,
um, it's
true.
a luxury in and of itself to be able to do any of this. So I get that for sure. There are times that I can't. I mean, I've sold valuable records that I didn't want to sell because I needed money to eat. So
Exactly. Yeah. That's that's an interesting perspective, I think, for everybody is that we are like you mentioned, there's no distinction between us and our customers. There's at this level, there's no factory on the hill. Uh,
yeah,
so it is sometimes, and I've been there too since I started this journey of like, you know, you can't walk into these things with an expectation on profit, but then there are some times where if you're in the middle of an event and things aren't uh, trending in a way or a different way, you have to be a very shrewd business person to make a valuable uh, return on the investment of being there. And sometimes it comes in networking, sometimes it comes in, uh,
oh, yeah,
and
Urge.
the networking in this community has been tremendous. I think that
Yeah,
thing that I'd love to fold back in on before we cut would be the weirdo market and Paper Moon and like that community. I feel like is a real treasure. Um, how did
yeah.
you first come upon Paper Moon?
Yeah, so Paper Moon in particular, one of those places that so to preface, I did not live in this state from the years of 2020 until um, like the beginning of 2024. So I moved back like a year ago, roughly.
Oh, yeah, around the
So
same time we
during
got
that,
there.
yeah, yeah. So during that time, I think is when Paper Moon was kind of on the up and up. I think they, I don't know the specifics, but it was a place that I had heard about through like my friends that were still here, but like
Mm,
I didn't really know. Um, so I had this idea even when I lived back in Boone, North Carolina, to start a pop up record store in late 2023, and I've been working as a kitchen manager and was able to save some money and invest some money in like thousands of records and build collections because I knew that this was what I wanted. And I'm like, well, if I already have the records and I already that'll make it easy. Like I'm doing the first step. So I had all these records when I got here, like tons, like almost more than I do now. But like going back to Paper Moon, yeah, I had heard about them, and the first market was Dummy Market. Shout out to them. They're great. And then from them, just people kind of were like, "Oh, have you checked out Weirdo Market?" I'm like, "What's Weirdo Market? It sounds weird." That's cool. Like Paper Moon, and I'm like, "Oh, that
mm,
place is really close," and oh, all these people I follow, like, oh, so it makes sense. So I linked up with Holly there. I sent her a message, or I sent Paper Moon a message, and started doing it last summer. Man, it was the vibes are great. There's a sort of a fluid, creative, introspective, but yet highly expressive atmosphere. It's like no other place. Like I'm always cool with the markets that are wherever, really. Like, but for it to be a physical spot that's so cool and symbolic of like creativity is dope.
yeah. Yeah. I remember, I think we might have heard about them from the dummy market as well. I forget exactly the time and place, but I saw the purple flyer that she does for the weirdo market, kind of the stand.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it reminded me of the old like Magi paintings that were super popular in the 90s and stuff.
oh
You
yeah.
know, like, look at this trippy painting and a thing emerges when your muscles in your eyes like relax. But
Huh. Interesting.
I felt like a connection, and ever since then, since we started vending with them, I have a big like admiration for Holly and her commitment to creativity in the space. And uh,
Yeah,
back in the old days, my days, we used to hang out at coffee shops, like when vinyl records were in wide circulation, and that's when one of the places when vinyl record culture and like before like huge raves and stuff, like small DJs and stuff would operate out of like that kind of a thing. It wasn't nightclubs because nightclubs were too like smoky and that, but
yeah.
the
Huh.
even the way that they recently renovated the interior. Now it's much more open for more theatrics. I'm super pumped to see what they get into this
Oh, dude. Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, should take this time to talk about the event, I guess, if you'd like. Kind of ties into Paper Moon.
Perfect segue. Yeah, tell us about it.
Um, Holly has graciously helped with this planning. Because I knew that I wanted to do this for a while. Have Oddball Music Record Market. I knew that it was in the cards. I knew that like, all right, this is how I elevate in early 2025. This is how I expand. But it's also like this. I realized something with like the seasonal market thing and like early in the year, it's like there aren't these huge markets around. I mean, it's little pop-ups here and there, and they're great for sure. But I was like, what if I just had something smack dab in like the very beginning of February that hopefully could grow to be pretty large. So that's kind of that was the goal. And I mean, I was inspired by doing that Sonic Sound Expo thing that I did.
Mhm.
And I had heard about various record markets and expos around, and I'm like, well, I want to have something like that, but I don't want it to be like, I don't want it to be like this, like I want it to be this vibe of creativity and art and expressiveness with music, not like this rigid, like purely business deal, like
Mhm.
people looking for the mint edition of whatever and willing to. I mean, yeah, money's important with it, but like I wanted just sort of this like shared communal space of just appreciation of music and just like wild, sublime levels of like expression. And so that's kind of like my goal with it.
Sounds so sick. I like that description so much more than like I come from my history is with like toys and that whole thing, and
Yeah,
it's so ingrained with that mint, he said the magic word, right? That collector perfection. And I was never like that. Like part of the stuff that we do is like gluing toys together that don't belong together and making monsters and stuff. Um,
yeah. Like,
and it's cool that you're now I totally get like the connection between and it's in the word oddball. I should have gotten it like weirdo and oddball and paper
yeah.
balloon, perfect. And I
uh,
think the space is going to be perfect.
Dude,
Um,
I mean, yeah, you're gonna be there. We're gonna have like music related artwork, and you know, our friend Spence is gonna be there. A lot of Coolio people, like a Coolio DJ, a friend of mine, is gonna play like the best music, and yeah, I'm stoked. I it's the first one, so we'll see. It might be cold, and but I don't have any great big I just want everyone to have a good time, really. And, like I want vendors to just like meet people and make money and have a good time in like early February.
yeah, man, I really enjoy like how uh, your business mind said like, look, there's an opportunity. Here's this place on the calendar where there's nothing to really compete with it, and super smart. Um, I would love to see more of that. I really like that. Like, there's a certain voice in the community that's dominating the market space, and it's always great. Like competition is great for everybody. And I say it all the time, a rising tide raises all the ships. So
Yeah, and we can all win. That I don't,
100%.
and it's all um like it's like the nature of competition. I think in my mind is like in this that I don't think there has to be like a loser in this. I think we can all like lift each other up, and it's like if
Totally.
I like I don't deal with a lot of like obscure heavy metal music and stuff, but like I can point people over to my boy Franklin at Pharmacy Record,
Yeah,
or
Pharmacy, they're awesome. Shout
or
out
if you want to
Pharmacy
go
Records.
deeper into eclectic stuff, Joe at Cabin Floor, or Horizon's dope. They're all like, um,
I was
I
pumped when,
yeah,
yeah, I'm stoked to see the other record vendors that you're bringing because I'm familiar with Pharmacy. I've been in that shop. It's awesome. But the other ones, I was like, oh, who are all these dudes? I can't wait to meet and see what they have. Like,
oh yeah, yeah. So notably, I have my friends from Fleetwoods in Asheville. Fleetwoods has sort of been an outlier for me vending because Asheville, in Greenville, we think of it as like this. It's really a hop, skip, and a jump away. But a lot of vendors around here don't venture up there. Some do, but um, anyway, the owner of Fleetwoods and his daughter, I believe, are coming down, and they're going to be selling some records. And that guy has
hey,
infinite great taste.
we've been
Holly has
there.
a
Uh,
what? The,
we stopped in there not long ago. We were just in Asheville two
oh,
weekends ago or something like that. Uh, I don't know, but I remember you mentioned that you've end up that way with them. Um, that's really cool. That's one of our aspirations is to get up to that area.
yeah, you guys would on a good day, on a sunny day, you guys would do really well there. You guys would fit in like
Mm,
be like that.
nice.
Um, yeah, and then I believe there's one called Bearded Dragon or Lizard. That's one of Holly's friends or someone that vended in the past widow markets. I don't know much about them, but that just makes it more, you know, exciting to see what they have to offer. As well as, I'm going to have more stuff on my own record store than I've ever had. I'm going to have more of a selection, going to be bringing out a lot of different tapes, and probably will have a fair amount of CDs as well as obviously vinyl.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is up, guys? We're here. I'm going to interview Brian from Oddball Records to promote his Oddball Vinyl Record Music Fest. I fucked it up, but he won't. Over to you, Brian.
I'm here to tell you about the Oddball Music and Record Fair that will be located at Paper Moon Studios on February 1st, beginning at noon. There will be a plethora of various record vendors and music related art. The vibes will be incredible. The music will be blaring and expressive, and we will be dancing like our butts off. So,
It's much
yeah,
more than just a vinyl swap. It is a vibe. It's going to be a party. You guys need to come through. We're going to be there.
all the homies, all the beautiful, expressive, creative souls of the community. And everyone is so welcome to come out. I think there's a little something for everyone, and it's a very communal, community-based event, and I'm very excited.
Well, dude, this is the first of, I feel like, many. I hope your festival is the first of many. I'm stoked to be vending it. I kind of
Yeah,
wish you could just come party though, because it's going to be
yeah,
fun. Dancing.
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wonderful, expressive, like beautiful time for everyone. I hope everyone really enjoys their time there, and I'm excited to meet all the new people and see all the old friends and all that.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick. Like it's so great to get the band back together and see everybody that you haven't seen, even though when it's only been a few weeks that pass, not to mention how much been happening in the past few weeks. So wow.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well, February 1st, it's Saturday, right? What times?
Yeah,
Looking at
yeah. February 1st,
11 to 6.
Saturday. It's 12 to 6. It starts at
Oh.
noon. Paper Moon Studios. We will all be there. Admission is free, so bring friends.
Oh,
I'm gonna
admission's free. Important
Yeah,
note.
admission's free.
Yo.
I'm gonna be posting a bunch of like random little like dealios on my story, like little things like, hey, if you mention this half-eaten tuna sandwich, I'm gonna give you a free $5 CD. I just that increases engagement, and I think it's so just goofy and funny. So
So
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, so dope. It works, dude. We do that stuff all the time. I love it. Like,
Like why not? Just like have fun with it. That's the vibe, man. I want February 1st to be fun. I mean, it's an event, and I mean, there'll be a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, but the
super.
meaning, the substance behind it is something pure. So